Hi guys, my name's Craig. Welcome to Small Farmer Life. Well, I'm just going to do a quick video today, but the sun's out. It's drying the ground out lovely because we had a lot of rain and it was just muddy as, and I don't like being out in the mud. I hate it. But now the ground is firm underfoot and I'll be finishing this 6-foot stock fence off in the field that I'll be putting my hybrid ends in, and that'll keep the fox at bay. But today I want to talk about renting land, because there's people out there who don't want to purchase some farmland but they would like to rent land, and this is a great way if you're young to actually get into small farming and save up the money you need to actually purchase some farmland in the future. Now, what does farmland rent out for? Well, depending on how much you rent and depending on where it is, it can go anywhere from £65 to £125 per year, per acre. And that's not that much money. But if you're renting it off, let's say, a homeowner and they've got 2 acres attached to the home, they might want £300 per year, which is still worth it if you're growing produce, because believe me, you can grow a lot of stuff on 2 acres of land, and a lot of high yielding, high premium selling produce. So that's what you would be growing. You wouldn't be growing potatoes and things like that unless you just want it for you and your family, because a lot of people have realised with the outbreak of COVID that if they have had a piece of land and they've been growing their own fruit and vegetables and that sort of thing, salads, then they wouldn't have to rely on the supermarkets, which ran out of food straight away. That's why you can't get your hands on an allotment for loving the money. There's big waiting lists all over the country, but there's still lots of land out there that nobody is actually farming. And like I say, it could be attached to a house and it could be attached to a farm. Now, farms of 100 acres to 400 acres to 1,000 acres have lots of pieces of land that they don't use. Lots of 1 acre bits or half an acre, and even half an acre, you can grow a lot of produce on half an acre. If you look on YouTube, you can see people who are grossing $80,000 off half an acre of land, but you've got to grow the right produce. Now, that's in America, yes, but in the UK we can do this also. Now, if you're going to rent a piece of land, there's different ways you can rent that piece of land. So you can do it on an handshake deal where you just say to the person, right, I'll give you £100 per year, per acre, and I'll pay you on this day in this month of every year. And that's just not the best way to go about it. I would say go on a 3-year lease deal. On a 3-year lease deal, you at least know that you've got some protection in place and you draw up a contract and that sort of thing. And I would also suggest you make it a rolling lease contract, because you don't want to get a good thriving farm up and running only to be chucked off it. You want the option to actually renew the lease after 3 years. And if you can do it that way, that's the best way to actually start a small farm without purchasing the land. And for young people, this is great, especially if you want to get into small farming and you don't have the money to purchase land. And what you can do is save up the money from the actual land that you rent, and it's not much money to rent that land. And if you've got the energy, which a lot of young people will have if they want to go into farming, you can put it into that piece of land and you can start growing crops, going to the top end farmers markets, starting a box scheme, contacting local high-end restaurants, and even any restaurant come to mind, and then you can sell all your produce to them people, and then you can sell it to family and friends. You can sell, let's say, free ranging eggs and that sort of thing. So always think about a lease and don't think about the handshake deal. Now, if you're going to be putting buildings on that land, which you're probably going to need, you're going to need things like polytunnels. Don't put polytunnels in where you concrete the ground posts in. Just use soil ground posts, so you can take them out if you'd ever manage to get the money together to purchase a piece of land somewhere else. So you might, after 5 years, have enough money to purchase a piece of land, so you want to move all the structures that are on the piece of land that you've been farming to your new piece of land. So any sheds or polytunnels that you put on there, make sure that the sheds are sectional and you can take them with you, or the polytunnels, you can take the actual ground holding posts out. Don't concrete them in because they're really hard to get out, and that sort of thing. But renting land is a great way to get into small farming, and it gets you to actually understand what it takes to start a small farm. And it's like I say, especially if you're growing produce. Now, if you're actually going to be raising animals on there, then you're going to need a lot of land to actually graze animals. So you might want to think about renting well over a few acres if you're going to be getting sheep or anything like that. But you also need to think about the homeowner, if you're renting off the homeowner, what they would like on that land, because they might not like animals on that land. So you need to be truthful what you're going to do with the land, but you might not be bothered about chickens. And if you're giving them fresh vegetables and salads and fresh free-ranging chicken eggs, then they're going to be a happy chappy, aren't they? So they're not only getting a bit of cash from you, they're also getting some healthy grown produce that hasn't travelled thousands of miles to get to the home. It's literally right next door to the home. So homeowners are an excellent place to start when you're actually looking for land to rent. Now, if you're renting from a farmer, there is some benefits that come from renting from a farmer. Because if you're renting, let's say, 5 acres from a farmer, and you've got, I don't know, some pedigree goats on there, some free-ranging hens, and you put a couple of acres aside to actually grow produce, then you might get the farmer to lend you some of his equipment, and they'll probably do it for you. Farmers are really generous when you get to know them. Like my neighbours are farmers, and they have helped me several times with a telehandler to move pallets full of bricks around my farm, because I don't have one. Why would I have one with 2.7 acres? But they have helped me, no problem, didn't want no cash. And your farmer, if you're renting from a farmer, will probably do that also. So if you want to get into farming, you don't have to always purchase the land that you want to farm. You might as well rent it if you don't even know if you actually want to do it full time. And renting it is an excellent way to actually understand what goes into small farming and what it's going to take. And if you're out in a lease for, let's say, 3 years and it's only 2 acres and you're only paying £100 per year, well, if you want to get out of that lease, you just have to pay them the leftover of what you've got of the lease. So if you've rented it for 3 years on a lease basis and you've paid 1 year off, then you only have to pay the other 2 years, which is only £400. Now, that's not much to get out of a lease when you consider that some big commercial buildings get rented out on lease terms for 15 years, and some businesses go under and they have to finish paying off the lease for that building for the leftover term of the lease. So leasing farmland is an excellent way to get into small farming, and an excellent way if you want to just grow food for your family to actually rent a piece of land. And like I say, just go and drive around your local area, look for unkept pieces of land. Now, if you are renting on lease, you are going to be responsible for the fencing and all that sort of thing and taking care of the land. You don't want to be putting things on the land that is going to make it look untidy, and you want to put some structure in place. Like me, plan out your farm so when you're walking from one place to another, you don't have to walk right across the field to get something that you need over there. Make sure if you need it over there all the time, you're putting something over there where you can actually get access to it quickly. So put some thought into the small farm. And like I say, go out and just, this is the time of the year to go out and look for a piece of land. And your farm will only need a little bit of upkeep in the winter just to make sure everything's right. And then as soon as spring comes, you're back on that piece of land, making sure everything's planted and that sort of thing. So it's a good way to get into small farming. It's a good way to save up money to purchase a small farm if you're only young. But if you're older and you just want to grow vegetables for your family, well, it's a great way to grow vegetables for your family. And you can also sell the excess of those crops that you're growing at farmers markets, and it's a great day out going to farmers markets or starting a box scheme and getting to know the people in the local community. So you want to think about all of this if you're thinking about starting a small farm and renting land to start a small farm. Just think about what size lease you're going to go into. You might want to sign a 5-year lease. You might be really committed. You might have had an allotment. You know what it takes to grow vegetables, and now you want a bigger piece of land so you can actually start a farmer's market. All of this sort of stuff you want to be thinking about when starting a small farm. But like I say, remember that it's not that expensive to actually rent land. 65 to 125 pound per acre is not bad going for me, but don't be renting that land and putting on loads of crap and making the area look scruffy. Make it look beautiful, nice, long rows of crops with a 12-inch gap between them so you can walk down them, and just different high-yielding produce grown that you're going to be able to make good profit on at the farmer's market or sell to restaurants. You can take video, you can take images of your actual crops and show the actual restaurants that the vegetables and the salad greens and everything that you're selling to them are coming from a local farm, and you're delivering to them every other day, and they will love it. And you can also send it through the post by an online shop to restaurants all over the country. So think about it. You might want to rent land instead of purchasing land, especially if you don't want to live on the land and you want to stay in the home that you've already paid the mortgage off, or you just love the home itself. Anyway, my name's Craig. You've been watching The Small Farmer Life. Till next time, if you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to subscribe, it's your choice. And if you want to be notified of more upcoming farmer videos, then hit the bell button. And till next time, take care of yourself, and most of all, take care of the family. Bye for now. See ya.